Hello, I'm Rex Childhouse, and this video is being shot on Thursday, January 27th, 2022. I like to put dates on my videos because the internet seems to lose date references early. I'm a member of the San Diego Fine Woodworkers Association here in San Diego, Southern California, and they have a member workshop, which I'm not a member of. And in the workshop they have a 3D printing section, which is really cool, and I've presented a couple of courses for them and really enjoyed it. Some of the things that have come up during the course, trying to keep the course moving, is loading PrusaSlicer, getting it, bringing in a file, opening up a file, getting it to print, whatever else. So I've got some videos to maintain the flow of the course, so participants in the course can get some guidance on installing the software ahead of time. And this video is on downloading files from Thingiverse.com. There's several free 3D applications available online. I work with PrusaSlicer. I don't work with any of the others, and I work with that because of commonality with the workshop and my printer. So most of my downloads come from Thingiverse. There are numerous sites where you can download free files, numerous sites where you can buy files. And in this video, I'm going to show you some of the things that works inside PrusaSlicer, which will allow you to modify a file. You can't create one, but you can modify it in numerous different ways. And we're going to work with tulips by Mathcraft, which is Thingiverse 1429882. And this is what these guys are. And this is the tulip, and it's several prints. This is when you print this guy, print him upside down, make sure he adheres. That's the stem, that's the leaf, and we're going to address some of the issues with that. I initially printed these upright, so to speak. They had a very small footprint. They detached. They failed to print complete. If you can see it, there's a line in here. And I used the cut command, which is on another video, to print only the top and then to glue the two pieces together. It worked really well. That was shown on another YouTube video by me and by a couple of other people. So let's go into Thingiverse. I'll show you how to download, what it's going to do in a couple of different browsers, and take them into PrusaSlicer. I'm working with version 2.4.0, and we can play with them and generate some G-code. G-code is specific to the printer, even though it's a generic term. So I can't take the G-code that's designed, that's written for my Prusa 3D printer to my CNC machine. It won't accept it. G-code's a generic term, but it has to be for the specific printer. Let's move on. This is what Mathcraft had posted as tulips, the image of tulips on Thingiverse.com. As I said, it's number 1429882. If you type that into search, you'll get it. And we are going to use tulips as our example file if you want to download it and play along. So I've opened up Thingiverse.com, and first thing I'm going to show you is type in something that's fairly popular, something you like, Mickey. If you type in Mickey, it's going to come back with a lot of files, and you can take your option of these. And if you scroll down to the bottom, I'm not sure how many files are per page. I haven't set that up as a default, but I went to the end of it. There's 45 files. If you type in something like Harry Potter, let's see if he's any more popular. And takes a little bit to load, but scroll down to the bottom, and we go to the end of that, and there are 52 pages for Harry Potter. Okay, now one of the things you can do in search though, and on my home page, if you go over to childhouse.com and look at 3D printing, is I give the numbers and full credits for the people who have generated the files. I'm going to paste that 1429882 for tulips in, and it's going to take us over to tulips. Okay, it's going to find it. Okay, so we click on tulips, and it takes us over to this file, and I'm not sure why this happened, but in the days of old and bold 2 weeks ago, and today, as I said, Thursday, January 27th, 2022, if I clicked on download all files, I got a zip file, and I'm going to show you what the zip file contained. I'm going to come over to here. This is what my zip file contained when I expanded it. It contained files and images, it contained licensing and README files. When I come over to the README file, it gives me licensing information, some really cool information. I'm going to get rid of that. When you come over to the licensing file, it gives you licensing information that Thingiverse puts on there, which is fun. But more importantly, when you come over to images, it shows you what you're printing, so you can play with it and you can have some fun with it. And if you come over to let's back up to files, here's the STL file. Now this is the file that we're going to open in PrusaSlicer. I was playing with this. I made it a 200% size from the default, so that's why it's there. We're back in PrusaSlicer, got the STL files, and what we're going to do is we're going to bring those in, import STL, and go over to the directory, and here's the 3 STL files that are there. And if you watch the other videos, I recommended that you put file extensions, so these other guys are projects. So I'm going to open up the bulb first, and you can open it up a couple of different ways. This is the default, and I'm going to slice it as it is. I'm going to slice it and bring the side back in, and it's going to turn around and tell us that slicing on this is 1 hour and 56 minutes. There's an issue with this, and I'm going to slide this side back off. There's an issue with this in that it has a very small footprint, and when I printed it this way, it detached from the bed. Now, one of the ways that you get around is right now we're in layers, and that you can see that by this command over here, by this bar on the right side. Click back into what I call a cube. Make sure this guy is green, and then select this 4th icon down. It'll allow you to flip this guy upside down really easy. And now we're going to slice him. And with the new slice, he prints 2 hours and 16 minutes. However, with the new slice, he will, and to clear that, click the cube. With the new slice, he has a bigger footprint. He is less likely to detach during the printing process. Well, you've got him selected with this 4th icon. These surfaces allow you to place him any way you want. And as I said in another video, if you put your mouse cursor on the heat pad, you can move him around so you can see what you're looking at. So a lot of fun. So how you put the object on the heat bed affects not only how much filaments you use, because you have support issues, and supports are selected on this guy over here. They're everywhere. What your infill is, what your brims are. Brims increase the probability of increase the footprint, and therefore increase the probability of the print staying on the heat bed. I'm going to kill this guy via File, New Project, and accept that, and import the next one I want to play with out of here. So the leaf is on the heat bed right now, and we can turn around and scroll in with the mouse wheel, make them a little bit bigger, make them a little bit smaller, all off the mouse wheel. And you can print this guy just by going over and slicing him with Slicer, and he'll come up and say, okay, I'm all done. It takes 29 minutes to slice. However, not all leaves are the same, so And I call these guys the layers in the cubes. If he's not green, he's quote-unquote not selected. So select a cube. He's now green, he's selected. In factors, scale factors over here, if you change this to 125 because he's locked in, everything changes to 125. XYZ all increases by 125%. All factors that you change are off the original, not off the current. Well, all leaves aren't the same size, so you might want to print some up that are different sizes. Not all leaves are the same shape, so you might want to print them up as different shapes. So click that to unlock. He's unlocked. Let's bring this guy down to a Y of 90 and a Z of 90. And Z is height and Y is depth. X is left to right. So we've now changed the aspect of this guy, and it's by unlocking scale factors. So let's get him back to original. And we put in 100, put in 100, put in 100, and then lock this guy back in just for the fun of it. Okay, he's locked back in at 100%. So you can change the aspect ratios X, Y, Z as you so desire in a project and kind of have fun with it. Let's get rid of him at the moment and get over to another new file, the last one we're going to play with, which is import, and we're going to bring in the stem. And standard Windows, when you go over to import these guys, if you double click on them, it works. Now, as I said numerous times, mouse cursor somewhere on the heat bed, move them around, and we're looking at the end of this guy. He's sitting on a point. That's not a whole lot of footprint. Even with brim, you're reducing your footprint. So there's some issues that you can do here, and it goes back to this fourth icon on the left. It gives you these white highlighted spots. If you click on one, it rotates that spot down to the heat bed, and now he's sitting flat on the heat bed, increases his footprint by quite a bit, and increases your probability of him not detaching during the print. One of the things that is in nature is all the stems are not going to be the same length. Well, he's still highlighted with these white objects. We can click on the end to make him vertical, because this is the only way cut command works. Roll out so we can see him. And this fifth icon down is the cut command. He plumps in at some point. Roll him up to the point you want. And you can do a couple of different things here. You can keep both the upper and the lower. And when you do that, if you notice, he just dropped down on this one here. Well, because these are two different pieces, you can move them apart and you can manipulate them. And then you can lay them down on the heat bed. I really don't want to do that. What I want to do is I want to do the cut, and I want to get rid of the upper half. So now I have a stem that's a different length, but in order to print him vertically, it's going to take a lot of support, probably fall off the bed, whatever. So I'm going to go back to that fourth icon, get those white spots, drop them on the side, make sure he's actually laying flat, and then come over and select the rotate and maybe move him around so that he's left to right, however you want him. It doesn't really matter. I will tell you though that if you have your 3D printer moving XY at the same time, it's a longer distance than if you just have him move X or Y, one of those physics things. Now he's selectable and you can print him. The other thing you can do, because PrusaSlicer is pretty Windows compliant, is you can Control C, Control V, and you can generate a second piece here. So if you look at them, they're both laying flat on the heat bed. Both have a pretty high probability of adhering during print. However, if one of these detaches during print, you'll probably lose both of them.
And because of their shape, if you lose either one with the other one following suit, because you can't print in midair, you probably wasted a fair amount of filament and a fair amount of time. So if you are going to print multiple items at once, and I do, my bookmarks, I print 5-6 bookmarks in a single printing. Multiple object printing does save you setup and shutdown time. It gives you a risk of losing all of them. How comfortable are you, whatever, but you can do that, and you can click and delete the guys and cut them away and whatever else. Purpose of the video was to get you functional to some degree in PrusaSlicer, a really cool program. I'm dealing in 2.4.0 for reference, and I'm totally impressed by its capabilities. As I said, you can't create something in it, but you can sure modify it. And you can put multiple things on the bed at one time and merge them together and do all sorts of things. There is free software options on the internet that you can download for creating your own stuff from scratch. And I've played with some of it. I'm not a pro in it. It's frustrating me just because the learning curves are there, and it's just kind of fun. Hope you've enjoyed this one. Hope it's useful, hope it's helpful, and hope to see you in another one. Thanks for watching.